Let's go ahead and hop on in. This is going to be a best of 5. TVZ. Oh, I'm excited. A really sick TVZ. Spawning in the lower right-hand corner of Babylon is our Zerg player. Representing the Shopify Rebellion, Scarlett. A fan favorite Canadian Zerg player. She spent a lot of time in Korea and is very strong. She's been working a lot on another RTS. She's an RTS professional. That's what she's doing. Speaking of professionals, been around a long time, been playing this game a long time. Had a good run at I Am Katowice this past year. Has been looking strong today, but did fall to the lower bracket here. And this is now his last chance to get out of the qualifying round. For Onside Gaming, it's Ryung. Nice little TVZ here. Of course, Scarlett has some famous Zerg versus Terran matches from the past. Scarlett versus Bomber and Scarlett versus MMA both come to mind. Some old school, some OG times. Back when the Koreans were basically untouchable, but there were a few non-Korean players, a few foreigner players that could make it happen, that had that magic, and Scarlett was definitely one of them. These days, if you're a recent StarCraft fan, you might just not understand what it meant to see a foreigner do well against a Korean. I mean, like, I don't know, these days, it doesn't even feel like we have that Korean versus non-Korean thing anymore. There's still a little bit of it. Korea is still very densely good at the game. Like the top 16 Koreans are still like in the top 20 or something ridiculous like that, but it's not quite as one-sided as it once was. It used to be the second tier of Koreans, like not the top 5, not even necessarily the top 10, like 10 to 20, ranked 10 to 20 in Korea would just travel around the world and win everything. Because the non-Koreans, the best non-Koreans, couldn't even beat the, like, number 14 Koreans. And in Brood War, it was even worse. There was just no competition in Brood War between Koreans and foreigners. So you really ended up with this thing where, like, if anybody not from Korea could beat a Korean, it was a huge deal. In StarCraft 2, it felt like it got a little bit closer. You did have some players early on who did quite well. You know, you'd had like Jinro, who did well in the GSL back in the early days. You had Idra and Naniwa, and you had Scarlett playing some strong games against the Korean players. But it wasn't until recently, really straight up, it wasn't until Serral that we started seeing foreigners actually, without a doubt, be as good, if not better, than the Korean players. Consistently, all the time. Just winning matches. And nowadays, it feels like it's a much closer skill gap. This is kind of nice for Ryung. He's just going to sneak on in here. Where are the Lings? Where are the Lings? Scarlett's for building drones, but it's just drones and queens right now. There's no Lings here to stop these Hellions. They just run in. It's just 4 of them. They get 11 kills. Oh my god, he even gets the 12th kill. And Ryung, I mean, that was a worthwhile investment without a doubt here. Just dives in and gets a bunch of kills for those 4 Hellions. Well worth it. Also killed that Overlord earlier. We kind of watched it. Didn't really commentate on it. There wasn't much to say, but now it kind of just adds to that damage that has happened in this early game. Scarlett sacrificing, making any Lings, trying to get more drones out, more queens out instead, but ends up eating a lot of drone losses because of not having one round of Zerglings. That's very unfortunate. 4 Hellions don't usually get that kind of damage. And now to follow it up, we're going to see the Banshee come in. Cloak Banshee, and Spore Crawler is not going to be able to cover this middle area. This is a really nice spot for the Banshee to hang out, knowing that more drones are going to have to be made. And it already just gets 3-4 kills. And even if that's all it gets, I think Ryung is going to be very happy with that. And he's up to 16 drone kills at this point. He doesn't really need to get anything more than that. Banshee doesn't need to leave, though. It will die immediately once it runs out of energy. Oh, there you go. Gets one more kill before running away. Ryung's got a 3rd CC behind this as well, so while Scarlett is still ahead in workers, she's had to build 18 more drones than she really wanted to have to build. And she's still only up 8 on the Terran. This is not a great spot for Scarlett to be in right now. That being said, it doesn't seem like Ryung's going to have a super quick follow-up. You know what? I say that. There's 2 medevacs coming out, though. Handful of Marines on the ground. Stim is done. Never mind. I lied. That thing I said a second ago, it was false. There is going to be a quick follow-up here of a lot of Stim Marines. Roaches are starting to come out for Scarlett, though. Finally, she's building some actual fighting units instead of just having the Queens. I know Queens are good, but man, you need some fighting units. 1-1 is on the way for those Roaches, but Ryung's going to hit with 2 medevacs full of Marines before the Roaches really come out in full force. Scarlett, of course, as always, with some fantastic creep spread here, getting nearly to the halfway point of the map already. Actually, I mean, straight up, these creep tumors are like at the halfway point. Medevac coming in, but it has been big spotted by a million overlords. However, the Roaches have not reacted. Scarlett not noticing that on the bottom of her screen. Not checking that minimap, and oh, the drone's getting pulled away, but a few of them going down already. And these Marines can be very annoying here. The Roaches will come in and push them away, but I feel like these Marines could just head down here now. Looks like they're going to get the easy kill on the Overlord. And this is all just to keep Scarlett back at home while Ryung gets that macro going, gets the 3rd base up. We do see Scarlett has jumped quite a bit ahead in workers, though. Up 20 workers here. And that's the power of the larva. Just building a lot of those drones at once. Despite losing so many, Scarlett's still taking that advantage right on back. Ryung going to keep the pressure on, though. Man, Scarlett already getting into a hive. It feels like she's playing, I don't know, a quick hive here. It feels kind of dark-esque. He loves to do that. But she's definitely got to get some Ravagers out to help deal with this. This is a lot of Marines. A couple of tanks are sieged up. The rocks are busted. And Ryung is just going to dive forward. Hits the anti-armor missile on so many of these Roaches. Oh, and this just feels like a fully dead base here. Lings are coming out. I think Scarlett's getting kind of desperate, but another anti-armor missile hits just to keep these Roaches weak as possible. And the tanks siege up. The Banshees even come in to help out. The Marines are starting to get cleaned up, though. A few more Marines show up, but the Bile is going to hit really nicely. The Spore Crawlers take care of the Banshees, but the 3rd base does go down. Scarlett trying to hold on here, but the Roach count is just dwindling. These tanks doing so much damage to the back lines. 8 and 10 kills. Scarlett going to try to pull back and regroup. Hasn't really lost any drones, though. I mean, a few extra ones have gone down, but she's still at 80 drones. So if she can just get these Roaches out, she'll still be in a decent economic position with the 4th and 5th base that are still up. But it's easier said than done as these tanks just keep getting damage done, and the Roaches can't crack through that Marine outer shell to get to those juicy inner core tanks. And Ryung wins game number 1. I mean, a lot of that is off the back of those first 4 Hellions. We know it. I'm sure Scarlett knows it. Letting those Hellions get that damage done just puts you behind, and you're just constantly fighting to get back into it. And when your opponent does what Ryung did there and just keeps the pressure on, attack after attack, the Marines coming in, dropping up top, the tank follow-up, the Banshees that came in as well. It's just so hard to get that momentum back up. And by the time she finally did, the attack was there. The roaches weren't quite enough. We'll be heading into a game 2. Neeb was very good for a long time. Yeah, going back to talking about that idea of the Koreans versus the foreigners, I think Neeb was definitely one of the big names when it came to could contest with Koreans, and actually was the first non-Korean player in StarCraft 2 to win a premier Korean event. He won the Kespa Cup in 2017, and Neeb actually had almost a Serral-like year in 2017, winning, I think, 3 of the 4 WCS events and winning Kespa Cup. It was really something that hadn't been done by a non-Korean before. A non-Korean hadn't really reached that caliber, I feel like, that Neeb was at that year. But he certainly wasn't perfect. And it felt like the next year when Serral had his big year, it kind of felt like he was perfect that year. And yeah, since then, it's just been good StarCraft. I mean, if I can be honest, the StarCraft has been so damn good since 2018, and I feel like we've just been blessed with the last few years of this game being as good as they have been. I don't know if anybody would have expected that before it happened. I'm just so stoked we still have good matches. We still have these awesome players playing, and I've never been more happy to be involved with putting on StarCraft tournaments than I am right now with the Summer Slam, and players like these trying to qualify for it, which is just so sick to me. So as we get into game number 2 here, really appreciate these players. In the lower left-hand corner for the Shopify Rebellion, it's Scarlett. And in the upper right, we have Onside Gaming's Ryung. Yeah, it was kind of surreal, like, seating in the Summer Slam, the players that are in there so far. I realized that there's 8 players in the bracket, right? And of those 8 players were the best 9 Koreans. So there's only 1 Korean player missing, who's in there now with Ragnarok getting in. There's, 10 players in there, and Creator honestly might be the number 10 Korean player. I kind of want to check that out now and see if of the 10 players we have in the Summer Slam, it's the 10 best Korean players. Ooh, not quite. Bunny, who has actually never played in a KSL, I'm pretty sure. I don't think I've ever had Bunny in any of my events. I need to message Bunny. If I had thought of it, I would try to message him before this. That's kind of funny. Okay, so Bunny is the number 10 Korean player on a Ligulac. Damn, we don't have the top 10. We just have the top 9, and then Creator, who's number 11. And Ryung, who's number 12, is up 1-0 right now. I think we're doing pretty good. But it's kind of surreal to have a bracket of players that's that strong in a tournament I'm putting on. I put on a lot of tournaments over the years, but none of them have ever been quite like this. Very exciting. I just have nothing but love for the community who's helped put this on. It wouldn't be possible without the Patreon support. Without OSC putting money into this. The match arenas every single week, also just super helpful. And I know Dave likes to joke that I do all the work, but there'd be so many of these weeklies that wouldn't have had as good of players if Dave didn't individually message them all the day leading up to the event. We just would have so many fewer excellent players. And the Summer Slam wouldn't look as good as it does without, a lot of the support we've had. Especially in the early days. We were able to get Maru and Beyond playing every week. I don't know. It's been really sick 6 months of KSL. And I hope we get 6 more months of it, at least. Now, talking about this game a little bit, Ryung is going for a double starport build. We've got Hyper Flight Rotor Banshees coming out of Ryung. And I just want to say Ryung has a beautiful mind. Absolutely beautiful mind. A couple Hellions going to try to sneak in here, and you know what? There's no queens or lings too close nearby, so a couple of drones go down right away. Hellions just leave. Kind of like that move. The Viking coming out's really interesting here. That used to be the go-to move for battlecruiser openers, is you would get the Viking out, and then, I mean, kind of what we saw here, right? The starport would swap onto the tech lab. That would give time for your fusion core to finish. But in this case, it would give time for the second starport to finish and build the tech lab to get Cloak and Hyperflight Rotor Banshees at the same time while you're building double Banshee production. And the Hellions are going to poke out, keep the Lings back at home, maybe try to get some drone kills. Scarlett pretty much just droning at the moment. A couple of Lings and a couple of Banes coming out, but she doesn't seem to know what's going on behind this. And that is a tough position to be in. And a real problem here, there's one Spore on the way now, but there's no Spore Crawlers at these bases for Scarlett. She desperately needs a bunch of Spore Crawlers to deal with this. Like, you need them around. Honestly, like 2 per base, and then at least 1 or 2 kind of in between the bases so that the Banshees don't really have much freedom out on the map. Oh, no. Oh, my God. Whoa, 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 whoa. We're getting huge lag. Uh-oh. I do not like this at all. This is feeling very bad. The players have not paused yet, so they must not be feeling it too bad. But man, we are getting absolutely slammed right now. Okay, well, the Banshees are hitting. I don't know why. We are getting huge, insane ping. I really apologize for this. Hopefully, it's not affecting the players. It seems like it's not, because again, they absolutely would have paused if it was. It seems like our ping might be dropping a little bit now. Oh, Banshees running away. Only 7 drones going down to these Banshees as they dive in here. Trying to go for the queens, but they got to pull back. Hellions, in the meantime, finally clean up those Lings, but a lot of the Hellions did go down. I think these Banshees, well, they did okay. I don't know, though. That doesn't feel like necessarily the best trade for Ryung. He lost a lot of Hellions in the middle of the map as well. But he's going to be able to clear a lot of this creep. I did see the Hydra Den finish up. Those Hydra upgrades going to be on the way here. Infestation Pit as well, as Scarlett's going to try to get into the Hive. Hydras can be good against the Banshees, but you got to be careful. The Banshees can do kind of what we see Phoenixes do sometimes too, which is pick off the Hydras if they're low in count. All right. We seem to have stabilized. That's crazy. We have huge lag. Nice Mega there from Ryung, pulling back those super low hit point Banshees. There are quite a few of them that are very low, so they got to be really careful. And if Scarlett focus fires, she can kill a lot of these Banshees very quickly. Ryung, of course, back at home is macroing, and, well, the normal thing to pair with this is going to be that Battle Mech. We see Blue Flame and Magfield Accelerator on the way as Ryung is getting into that. And that's going to allow him to really keep this pressure on. Oh, he even has a Raven with this. That's going to let him clear this creep without scanning too much. That's going to be, for sure, a canceled base. Scarlett just waiting a little bit there. But Scarlett's stuck on 4 bases, and Ryung's 4th base is nearly done. That is not a good place for the Zerg to be, but she is on 87 drones, so she's going to be mining a lot right now. those Banshees alive. Trying to keep that creep spread back as much as possible. Scarlett doesn't have a ton of army out. The Lingbane Hydra army seems very, very small. Ryung's army supply is quite a bit higher. And this army is just so microable. Nice little anti-armor missile there as well. Ryung really making good use of that anti-armor missile. And just going to try to keep microing against this. The Hellions try to sneak in and get some drone kills, but not particularly successful. The Queens, though, fighting against the Hellions and Cyclones on their own. The Banelings, though, exploding on those Hellions, pushing Ryung backwards, but so many Queens died. And that's going to allow these Banshees to be a little bit more free in their movements, I think, without the Queens on the control group to push them away. Scarlett, though, keeps this base alive, at least for the time being. But now the Cyclones and Hellions hitting on the north side. The Lingbane Hydra is a little too far away, and this base is maybe in a little bit of trouble. The drones are definitely in some trouble here as the Blue Flame Hellbats get on top of them. Banelings again connecting decently. Scarlett, her army's just so small here. She's got some army down on this side, though. They're going to push away the Banshees. Banshees continue to die, and they're not being replenished here. Ryung not building any more Banshees, which is kind of surprising to me. I wouldn't hate to see a couple more Banshees come out. Maybe a repair on these would be good. Yeah, there he goes. Going to repair these back up and just keep that Cyclone Hellion pressure on over here. There are Vipers out now, though, and that can absolutely change the game up as they can start abducting some of these big units. Once the Cyclone count gets small, it becomes a lot easier for this army to push forward. The Hellions just don't really scare the Hydras that much. And Scarlett, I feel like she's getting set up to counter push. The thing about the battle mech army Ryung has is it doesn't do as great in a straight up fight. It's not nearly as good defensively. You have to have room to micro. You've got to get those lock-ons and pull back. You have to just be able to keep these units away from the Lingbane Hydra. And if Scarlett goes for a push, it'll be very difficult to do that. But for right now, she's just attacking with a handful of units on this side. Gonna try to run into this base. It is a planetary, though, and the Banshees are here. So I feel like, I don't know if she's gonna be able to get the damage done. We'll see, though. The Lings and Banes diving in. Oh, no. Never mind, that was easy. It turns out you just have to kill the SCVs and then kill the planetary. At the same time, a lot of these Cyclones starting to go down. The Hellions are all dead, and the Banelings trying to dive forward. Again, the Hydras not scared of those Hellions. Help clean them up in the front. The Cyclones are left over, but they need some buffer as well. And Scarlett, with the little double prong, cleans up a lot of the army and kills the fourth base at the same time. And it felt like Ryung was in such a good spot. But here's where the battle mech starts to fail, is in this part of the game. Once the Zerg is teched up, they have a decent army up, they have a good economy going. It becomes very hard for that battle mech to keep that damage going. And you usually have to transition into tanks or something of that nature, but we're not seeing Ryung do that. He's continuing to build Cyclones and Hellions. And I don't know how much longevity he's going to have in this game with that army composition as these Vipers just keep abducting those Cyclones, which take kind of forever to build, honestly. They're not cheap either. Scarlett's got another set of units over here, so as Ryung moves out with the reinforcements, he's got to be careful. There's an army there. Oh, it looks like he found it. I don't know if that was on purpose or by accident, but he's discovered it. Scarlett will have to run away. Pushes this army back again. She's gotten the creep spread out at least a little bit, but it's not very far out. Ryung's done a great job clearing that creep spread and keeping that queen count low. Remember, all those queens died earlier. There's actually only one queen out right now, and I feel like Scarlett might want to build a few more of those, either to get that creep spread going or just to get injects. But Ryung, he's got to push on this side. Scarlett, though, she's pushing away this attempted 5th base position. But Ryung's going to keep the pressure on down here, and these Banelings kind of not done. There's no Lings here to help them out either, so they're going to get kited against. But Scarlett's pushing into the 3rd now, taking down SCVs, taking down this command center. Oh, no. Poor SCVs getting exploded. And Ryung's going to tap out as he's starting to lose that army. losing his base, and Scarlett ties the series up 1-1. Could we have a non-Korean in this tournament? In fact, we are, I think, guaranteed to have one non-Korean in this tournament, but maybe we could even have another one. Yeah, the other qualifying match in the lower bracket is Estrella versus Cyan. So neither of those players are Korean. So we definitely have one non-Korean in the event. Can we get a North American in the event? I think Estrella's got a very good shot against Cyan. He should be pretty decently favored. It is a PvP, though. So that always complicates things. But if Scarlett wins here, we could have two non-Koreans in the KSL. That'd be crazy. Imagine Estrella and Scarlett in. I mean, it's honestly very possible. Ryung has... I feel like Ryung's looked good today, but I mean, clearly in that game, Scarlett took the win. He certainly has not looked unbeatable, and Scarlett absolutely has the ability to take him down. The bio looked a little bit harder for him to fight against. So I feel like we might see Ryung switch back to that. The Banshees was a fun idea. Obviously, we had a bit of lag during that. That was on my end, not the player's end. But the Banshees really didn't get much damage done. All right, Kaido is going to cover Cyan versus Estrella. So if you guys want to catch that one... There you go. Shout out to Kaido. Going to be covering that. Wardy had to go do his own event, and the Ducklings and I are currently invested in this best of 5. We're in game 3. We're all tied up 1-1 on Neo Humanity. Spawning in the upper left-hand corner is our Red Zerg player for the Shopify Rebellion, Scarlett. And our opponent in the lower right in the blue for Onside Gaming. It's Ryung. I mean, it absolutely would be sick to see Scarlett and Estrella make it into the KSL. I think Estrella's got a very good shot. Scarlett definitely going to have a tough time here, but I think she can do it. I think she can absolutely do it. It would be very sick to see Ryung in there as well, though. I'm not mad about either of these players making it through to the main event. It's going to be insanely sick regardless. We're already guaranteed to have sick matches all over the place. Whoever wins will get to face off against one of the best Terran players in the world, as the top 4 Korean Terrans are waiting in the round of 8, or the round of 12, excuse me, right now, for whoever qualifies from this. They're just waiting, like shark-infested waters below the qualifiers. So should be fun. We already have Ragnarok and Creator through, who are, well, I think both very able to take down whoever their opponents might be in that round of 12. I like this from Ryung. He's busting out the 2 racks Reaper in the wall. I feel like I've seen a little bit less of this lately, as a handful of even the Korean Terrans have started going for just Reaper expands, as we've seen Ryung do today. So far, he's just been playing a bit more Reaper Hellion focused in the early game. But it's nice to see some variety in his play here with the 2 racks opener. Scarlett's going to take this 3rd base, so she's going to have to mine out these minerals, but base is fairly safe from the Reapers. I mean, they can put some pressure on here, and this is where it can become a little bit of a problem for Scarlett. She's got to mine through this because she has to get the queens down to protect this. The hatchery did have a lot of hit points when they started hitting it, so it'll be able to finish. It's not going to die, but it is going to take quite a bit of damage. And Ryung might be able to hit it with some sort of follow-up here. Obviously, Marine follow-up is the way to go, and the 3rd CC on the way. It's not going to be super committed. Man, this is taking more damage than I expected. Scarlett is going to cancel it, not feeling like she can get down there in time to defend it because she can't mine through this mineral field quick enough. She takes the other 3rd base, and I mean, this is a fantastic opener for Ryung. And Ryung going for 5 Reapers instead of just 3. I think realizing that that base was so vulnerable, he decided to build those extra 2 Reapers perhaps. And in this case, it was a really good choice. Now this base is in trouble as well. You can't transfuse a building structure, and you can't transfuse off creep. So these queens suddenly feel so exposed. The Ling's trying to come up and help at least just buffer for these queens, but one of them goes down. Ryung will back up. Scarlett gets to keep this base at the very least, but I mean, she's got to be feeling it. The lack of this base is hurting right now. Ryung, he's got his 3rd CC back up, back at home. Getting into the starport, I imagine we'll see a couple more barracks go down in the near future. But for now, the 2 racks stim is going to be the 2-1-1 follow-up, which is one of my favorite follow-ups. I loved the first time I saw this from Beyond. I got so happy because in my mind, there are 2 things Beyond is like known for. Like old school Beyond, right? One of them was Reapers. Obviously, he like got them nerfed 3 times. He was so good with Reapers. And the other one was the 2-1-1. It was a 16 Marine drop build. I feel like he just had that mastered. It became the standard, and that was like, in my mind, I don't know, I linked it with Beyond. It was just what he did when he wasn't just opening Reapers. So it was so cool to see him open Reapers into essentially that same 2-1-1 16 Marine drop build, which is what we're seeing here from Ryung. I just love that Beyond like invented that build. I don't know, maybe he didn't invent it. Maybe he stole that build from somebody else, but puts a smile on my face every time. I like this. Ryung's going to keep these Reapers at home to defend against like a run by, while he sends the Marines across the map. He wants to try to put some pressure onto this base. Now, there are queens here, but these are stim Marines. Ryung needs to drop out the rest of them, though. A lot of Marines not fighting there for a second. He's going to pick up and get out. Here come the Lings, but that's exactly what these Reapers are there for. Stopping that counterattack while the drop keeps Scarlett occupied. But Ryung not really finding any damage here. Spore Crawler coming up, Queens defending. He's going to have to boost somewhere very soon. Oh, he's got to get the hell out of there, guys. Oh, no. He's taking a lot of damage on this medevac. This is actually kind of dicey for Ryung right now. The Spore Crawler's done. Oh, he's stuck. I think he can boost around this side, but it's just not going to be a very good drop at this point. He just needs to hope he can get away. Like, boosting around the top side, I think, is probably his best bet. There's those extra barracks coming down. These 2 already done. 3 more on the way. It's going to be 7 racks. Oh, no, this one's done as well. This is 8 racks. This is 8 racks. We're just seeing Ryung go through all of the good TVZ builds here. 8 racks, a very popular build for a while, a couple of years ago. it's just kind of a parade push, a constant pressure across the map. You have so many Marines coming out. It's so momentum focused. You just keep the Zerg on the back foot over and over and over again until you finally break through. It's actually a really, really hard build to deal with here. And I love that Ryung is doing it off the back of this opening. I think it's a really smart choice. Scarlett trying to get some counterattack damage done here. There's another bonus, though, of the 8 racks is you usually have so many Marines coming out. Dealing with counterattacks becomes a little bit more possible, but as I say that, this is causing some issues for Ryung, but he's still going to push anyways. He's got a couple of siege tanks with this in really annoying positions. And the Lynx Bane's going to get on top of the Reapers, finally clean those up. Ryung does deal with the counterattack, actually. The Medevac's helping out quite a bit there. And Ryung's got this pressure going. Oh, the Banelings, though, connecting beautifully on those Marines. Ryung a little late to respond. He does have some more Marines behind this, so the tanks will not be cleared just yet. But this is where the parade push comes into play. He's just going to have more and more reinforcements coming across the map. Scarlett sending another counterattack. This one is huge. That is a lot of units. The tank's going to go siege up back here, though, as Ryung realizes it's there. And that's kind of a problem for Scarlett. She can get on this siege tank, but the Banelings get targeted down. Ryung, beautiful targeting. There's still a lot of Lings getting on top of this, though. The tank goes down, but more Marines coming out. Again, 8 racks of Marines. The Marine production for Ryung right now is off the chain. And he's got 2-2, a little over halfway done at this point. He's going to keep on pressuring. Scarlett needs nothing but units at this point. 4 bases are up, 78 drones. I guess 5 bases. She needs to just pump units. But the tank's in this super annoying position. The Marines continuing to reinforce, making this tougher and tougher. With a double drop on the right-hand side as well. Scarlett sending some more units. I think those were going to counterattack, but instead are going to deal with this and force this drop to pick back up. Ryung trying to trade as well as he can before he does that. Decides to pull back on the left side for now. He's going to go ahead and take his 4th base. Start morphing that into a planetary. Oh, he's going to push through the center. Okay. Changing his area up a little bit. Sending some tanks to siege up. SCVs are coming over here right now, but this is not a planetary yet. It is going to be forced to cancel. These SCVs got to pull on back. Banelings trying to bust through the wall. There's more Banelings available to kill the SCVs, and oh no, it is a massacre here as the mineral line at this base gets absolutely demolished. The Banelings get in on top of the Marines as well. Ryung more focused on the micro over here, losing 34 SCVs, but Scarlett losing all of the Lings and Banes that were defending, down to just the Hydras. More Lings coming out to join up. She's crippled Ryung's economy, but Ryung is going to push through on the main attack. He's going to be able to take down this 5th base. He's killed a lot of Scarlett's army. Scarlett's army looking pretty hurt right now. Very low army supply. She needs to get some more Banelings up. She's trying, but the tanks are starting to siege forward. The Marines getting caught here. Scarlett just trying to hold on at the moment. Looks like there's a drop, killing a few drones as well, just to make things even more annoying for Scarlett. He's got a sensitivity to deal with that. Ryung continuing to pressure, pulling these Hydras into siege tank range. That drop's not going to get anything done here. Scarlett going to try to clear this, sending in Lings, Banes, and Hydras from both sides, trying to get through to the juicy Marines behind those siege tanks. And it looks like she finally will. Are there enough Lings and Hydras to actually clean this up, though? More Marines stim forward. The Hydras have to pull back. Oh, some Lings running in to die. That is very painful for Scarlett right now. She needs every unit she can get, but she cleans up the drop finally. And now it's just this frontal assault, but now it's just Marines. And the Lings and Hydras do a lot better against just Marines than they do against the Marine tank. Even without Banelings, it feels like Scarlett's doing okay against this. Ryung's economy is still pretty terrible despite having a ton of mules. Did he lose that command center? Oh my god. He lost that orbital command. He's on 38 SCVs. He's barely got mining other than these mules right now. And even with those, Scarlett's still mining significantly more. She's got a new 5th base set up, and it feels like it's only a matter of time before Scarlett gets so many units out that Ryung can't handle it. Now that Ryung's pulled back, she can make banelings again. And banelings, I feel like, are kind of the key against this. This is just, I mean, it's just Marines. Okay, 1 tank finally pops out. This is 44 Marines and 5 medevacs, though. Banelings are absolutely the answer here. And I think if Scarlett just pumps out a ton of units, there's going to be no way for Ryung to win this. He's got one big final push. He's not building SCVs. His 3-3 is finishing. He's pushing at the perfect time. But as he hits, the +2 melee and the +2 missile attacks for Scarlett are finishing up as well. So that upgrade timing for Ryung, it kind of ends up not being much of anything. She's got Adrenal on the way as well, which is just going to help as those Lings will be able to attack so much quicker. And it feels like Scarlett is one good engagement away from a victory. She's sending a lot of Lings into counterattack. There is no defense here. Honestly, there's not even much to kill at this point. Ryung, most of his mining is from this base. She needs to send the Lings up there. But Ryung, he's just kind of ignoring it. As she's discovered the base. SCVs are going to pull away. Ryung stims forward. Scarlett being so patient. Again, just getting out as many units as she possibly can. She is nearly maxed. Ryung is not even on 150 supply, and he can't even go above 125. He's supply blocked. Heavily supply blocked. The Lings go back in to kill more SCVs. The blinding clouds on the tanks. And the Lings and Banes dive forward. Oh, more blinding clouds. And I feel like that has to be it here as Ryung's army supply drops below 50. The Lings killing everything on the other side of the map. Oh, Banelings from the backside. GG. Scarlett goes up 2-1 in this series. She is 1 game away from making it to the main event. That is so sick. Ryung with a really good start in game 1. Honestly, it felt like off of the back of that game 1, Ryung was just going to take the victory. I was kind of a little worried for Scarlett. I was like, I don't know, it looks like Ryung's really got it. And part of that felt like Scarlett wasn't playing her best. Then, here we go, game 2 and game 3. It feels like she's warmed up. She knows Ryung's tricks. She's got it all sorted. I really love that build from Ryung, and it felt like it was going quite well. Honestly, I don't know why he pulled back. He had those tanks out there. He was continuing to push and to pressure, and it really felt like he had, I don't know, felt like he had a good position, and just decided to give it up, pull back, and that gave Scarlett the ability to take a fresh base, keep that pressure on, the counterattacks, which finally broke through and got huge damage done. And once that happened, I mean, Ryung's entire thing was based on big economy, pushing, and the counterattacks just kill it. It's actually why we don't see 8 racks as much anymore. It's really powerful, it does a ton of damage, but it's so focused on attacking that you don't want to invest any money in defending against those run-bys. The run-bys just do so much damage to it. And that's why we don't see it as many 8 racks as we used to. At least that's, I think, part of the reason. I'm by no means an expert on the 8 racks, but it felt like we stopped seeing them right around the same time as we started seeing counterattacks really become prevalent in this matchup. I think players needed a minute. So we're chilling for a second until they're ready, which, as I say it, they're back. They're ready to go. Hope you guys are having a good one out there. Is this new or old? This is live. This is happening right now, Public House. Oh, it's not a rerun. No. Good question. Valid question. The cast is a recording, though. That's true. I cast this a couple weeks ago. Just put the VOD of me casting on over the games, and I'm usually pretty accurate. Top of game 4. Game 4, we're on match point in this series. The winner of this goes to the KSL Summer Slam. Gets into that round of 12 to face one of the best Terrans in the world. And it could be our Zerg player. She's up 2-1. She just needs one more win for the Shopify Rebellion. Scarlett. Her opponent, though, he's not going to let go easily. We've already seen him today. He's been fighting for his life in a few of the games. But he's already had one qualifying match. And he got knocked out by Creator, fell to the lower bracket. And now he's down. His opponent's on match point again. He's got to pull it back and win 2 in a row. It's Onside Gaming's Ryung. No, it's not over yet. This is a best of 5. So I know it's kind of confusing, the challenge bracket. It doesn't let me like edit the bracket enough where I can cut off those last few matches. But those aren't actually happening. It's a qualifier bracket, so the top 4 players will make it in. Gets a little bit complicated with the lower bracket, how it works exactly, but yeah, we already have Ragnarok and Creator qualified for the KSL Summer Slam. And now it's between these guys and Estrella versus Cyan to see who the final 2 are. It's been a pretty solid qualifier so far. I feel like we've had some really sick matches. Just making me even more excited for tomorrow's event. Tomorrow will be the round of 12 and the round of 8. So if you're here watching today, keep an eye out on this channel tomorrow, as well as I'm sure Wardy will be covering some as well, and the Cranky Ducklings. And I'm not exactly sure who else. I think a few other people might make the effort to be awake at the stupid hours it is for North Americans tomorrow. So hopefully we have a few other channels covering as well, but we'll have lots of really insanely sick matches tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to take a bit longer than this bracket. We'll probably be live for 6 or 7 hours tomorrow, honestly. And yeah, there's going to be 2 matches going on at a time tomorrow. So there's going to be constant bangers, non-stop bangers tomorrow. I'm so excited. Anyways, on to today. Back to today. We got to snap back to reality, you might say. Ryung going for Hellions once again, back away from the 2-Rax Reaper opener. As much as I love that, honestly, it had such a good start in the last game, and that's what worries me for Ryung more than anything is like from a mentality standpoint. When you play a game and the opening goes as well as it did for him, how it must hurt to then lose that game, to not be able to capitalize on it and push for the win. He forced Scarlett to cancel. Oh my god, he got that creep tumor. I can't believe that. Splash damage on the Reaper to kill that. What a beautiful move. Anyways, he forced Scarlett to cancel her 3rd base right before it finished, and then followed up with the drop. Honestly, the drop didn't really get anything done, but with the push behind it, it was a powerful game from Ryung, and Scarlett showing some world-class defense there, able to hold on against the 8-Rax push, and then get that counterattack damage done. It shows you just how important those counterattacks are, the run-bys with the Zerglings are. Just so huge. And even though they didn't all find damage, some of them even traded probably kind of poorly, it's just about consistently setting aside a handful of lings to go across the map, and maybe some banelings as well. Just keep that pressure on, because over and over and over again, you're bound to find some damage eventually. Speaking of damage here, Ryung is going to try to get some drone damage, but Queens come over and push these Hellions away. Cloak is done for the Banshees, so... Oh, and now it's done for the Banshees. They might be able to find a couple kills here and there. I don't know where the second one is at the moment. Still just coming across. So far, though, Scarlett not really taking any damage here. But Ryung is going to really push in. Got the Banshees here poking in the front. Okay, there's the Overseer popping right now. So the Banshees got to run away, but they're a little late to run away, so one of them goes down. The Hellions, in the meantime, just kind of poking at a hatchery. And I know the Reapers forced to cancel in the last game, but Hellions do even less to hatcheries than Reapers. Not really that much of a threat here to Scarlett. But Ryung got his third base down. He's got quite a few workers out. He's transitioning to that stim. Lots of Marines coming out. In fact, barracks number 4 and 5 going down. And he's going to have a Marine tank follow-up. Once these medevacts start building another supply block. It's painful. It's painful, but even Ryung can get supply blocked. Even Ryung can hit the 101 supply block, guys. It happens. But it looks like we've got another macro game on our hands here. Lingbane Hydra for Scarlett again. She's feeling pretty good about that. Marine tank for Ryung. No real surprise there. Marine tank is pretty good. It's pretty good. But I kind of like Scarlett's position in this game. She's got that 5th base on the way. Ryung is starting to move out with that first push, though. The first real push of this game. Scarlett doesn't have any vision over here. I think some of this creep was cleared earlier by the Hellions and or the Banshees, so she's going to spot this as the tanks are sieging up. She does have some lings in a counterattack, and oh, they're getting in here, actually. Banshee coming over to help out, but all those Marines are going to go down, and this is a problem. The Natural is in a lot of trouble right now. Ryung starting to lose a lot of SCVs here. He needs to pull them away, but where are they going to go? There's only a few Marines out. The Lings run away after getting 8 kills. Ryung trying to push forward onto this base, but needs to be careful. Well, the armory is done. Hellbats it is. They're going to be a lot better against the Lings, but it's a bit harder to micro them this way. They kind of just die pretty quickly usually once they morph into Hellbats. The Ling counterattack gets cleaned up. Scarlett does need to push this pushback though. Gotta push the pushback. And she's gonna be able to take this out, I think. The Lings, Banes, and Hydras diving forward. Ling's just trying to avoid running into those Hellbats. But as those Hellbats all go down, the tanks will be short to follow. Ryung needs to boost out of there. Oh my god, his boost isn't ready, and he loses the medevac full of units. At least he'll get this one away. It has a couple of things in it, but that's very painful. And if we look at the supply, Ryung is suddenly down 46 supply. Scarlett going up to 92 drones, even going to get up to 96 drones here, it looks like. And she is just going to have a roaring economy. This right now, Scarlett, she's in the roaring 20s. You know, I don't think there's going to be like a Wall Street crash. I don't really know what the equivalent of that would be in StarCraft, but I don't think she has to worry about that too much. She's just in the roaring 20s right now. She's just got to build units and defend. I guess like the Wall Street crash would be if there was like a Doom drop in the main and it just killed like all the workers at a couple of bases or something. As long as she doesn't let that happen, she'll be in a good spot. And right now she's playing very defensively, got the army split on both sides. And as Ryung tries to move out with a group of units, I mean, Scarlett she's just right here, ready to go. The Changeling spotting this move out. And that, I mean, Ryung's got to pull back. He doesn't realize there's a whole ass army here. Scarlett's pushing around the top side as well. Some more Marines show up, but it feels like it's not enough. Wings and Banes trying to get into the mineral line. Scarlett's also trying to hit the fourth, but she's so far ahead of Ryung, he doesn't even have a fourth base. Like, that's, she's just realizing right now, oh, you don't have this base yet. That's actually so good for me. She's sitting 30 workers ahead. And, I mean, Ryung is just in such a tough spot right now. Fourth base getting pushed away. He doesn't have the army supply to push these armies back at the same time. But part of that is because he does have some army on the other side of the map. This double drop has been patiently waiting to come back in. It's going to kill a few queens, but I think that's about all it's going to do. He's going to pick back up in the medevac. We'll be able to get 8 Marines out of there. But Scarlett dives in at the same time, kills 24 SCVs. Ryung knocked back down to 42 workers, so he takes his fourth base, but he can't even saturate all of his mineral lines. He doesn't have the worker count. And it's not a planetary yet, and I feel like if Scarlett just moves right across the map, this might just be a dead base. Oh my god. My Lanta. That is 10 mules at this base. That is insane. A huge spike in Ryung's favor to actually start mining more or even minerals with Scarlett, who is up 50 workers. That is insane. But I mean, the third base gets pushed away again. This time, a few of these Hydras are starting to go down. Scarlett needs to be a little bit careful about that. But she's got so much more economy than her opponent. Yeah, these mules are great, but this income is just going to spike towards Ryung for a little bit, and then it's going to go right back down to Scarlett as these mules die in a second. It's actually going to be such a huge drop back down in Scarlett's favor. It's going to be kind of crazy. Here, let's watch it. These engagements are about to start, but these mules are about to die. It's going to be kind of fun. Just watch this number fall. Just keep falling. And down it goes. Oh no, dude. Oh my god. It's not like half. Honestly, it's less than half. It's pretty significantly less than half. That's crazy. How much mining these mules are doing. Scarlett's gonna dive back in, this time with Vipers. The ghosts are out, but they don't get any snipes off or EMPs. The blinding clouds smashing into everything. These Marines doing their best. Ryung's trying to pull back and split, but you can only split so much. And again, this base, I actually think it just died. I think that base just straight up died. That is a dead orbital in that last engagement. This only has units killed. And yeah, I mean, Scarlett, the trades are relatively even, but that's so bad for Ryung right now. He is on 3 bases, 51 SCVs. He needs to send these long distance mining SCVs over to his 4th base because they're not doing anything. Although, to be honest, it doesn't feel like this 4th base is going to be here for very long. As Scarlett dives back in, the tank's doing what they can, but I mean, there's not even SCVs here to repair. The SCVs try to show up and they just get blasted by the Banelings. Scarlett kills the 4th base. She's going back into the 3rd. She's like, oh, you don't have one, actually. This is a problem for you. Ryung is, his mining is just so abysmal right now. It's so in Scarlett's favor. It's actually insane. What's the income at this point? 1,000 minerals a minute. Oof. Scarlett at 4 times the income of her opponent. She has taken her entire half of the map. The creep spread is encroaching. She's going to just keep diving in, and there is no way Ryung can withstand the onslaught of Scarlett time and time again. She's hitting from both sides here. She's going to start dropping Nidus Worm soon. This is like the final campaign mission. But in this one, the Terran does not emerge victorious. Scarlett takes the 3-1 victory and will be our first non-Korean into the KSL Summer Slam. The Canadian representation in the Summer Slam. Congratulations to Scarlett.